Hey, Anthony Penna here. Welcome to StormTV Podcast number 5. Today we've got one of our players from the UPSL, Raymond Kennedy. Ray, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing just tickety-boo, thank you. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to have Ray, who's been part of our youth program pretty much prior to him even becoming a competitive player. So, under the age of 10, he was with us playing some of the older teams, being on the older teams, training with us. Fantastic time having Ray here. So I've known him a long time, good friends with his family, known his dad a long time and his mum. So actually his dad used to help me build my house. So, refinish my house many times. So I have a lot to give to this family, love them to bits. So I'm pleased you're here with us today to talk a bit about how you got to the UPSL team. So we're going to start. So Ray, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I graduated from Waxahachie High School last year, and currently I play at Parrish Junior College. I'm studying to be an engineer, and I'm looking to transfer after the 2 years to a bigger university to continue my education and playing soccer.
Good. So he made Coach Hector got you on the team, or you made the team with Coach Hector. Yeah. So how do you feel? We ask this question to most of our players because it's a generalised question. How do you feel the UPSL team is? What do you think's good about it, bad about it? What do you think you've been? We played 4 games now?
We played 4 or 6.
Yeah, I think 4. I think I've scheduled 4. So we had 2 this past weekend. So how do you feel it's going so far?
I think it's gotten better over the four games, because I remember the first time we played with each other, it was rusty. No, I mean
the face says it all, right?
We had the chemistry wasn't very there, which is a big part of a team. I mean, what did help is a couple of our old players like Stretch, Victor, who else? Pee Wee, Max, all the players I've played with. It helped because the chemistry was there.
Gama.
But all the newer players or the older boys, it was it took some while to get used to. I mean, it still is getting used to now, but it's easier to play with them because you kind of know what they're gonna do now and how to expect from each player.
So you felt that from the first game, when really each player had their own style that they were playing, especially ones that weren't Storm, because we've got some older Storm players there that played a little bit different to when we were to our style nowadays. So you felt now they're starting to drop into place and starting to get some good.
It's slowly starting to gel. I mean, it is kind of hard since a lot of the players are college players. We can't practice with each other every day or every other day, because we're in school. And then for me to come home, it's a 2-hour drive, and if we have practice on a Tuesday night, that's not happening.
Yeah. No, that's true. We've mentioned that in many podcasts before. I think that's probably, it's just reiterated by Ray there, one of our biggest issues. And I think for any of these teams that are in at the men's level now, it's if we're going to do this professionally and run it as professionally as we can, it's very difficult to get everything to match up. I know that yesterday we had to cancel our practice yesterday, I heard, just because there was issues with work and family commitments and college, and then fields. We had to shut down our field yesterday because we had a huge storm come through the day before, and you were tearing it up on Tuesday, let alone having it tore up again on Thursday, when we have a lot of youth teams that play on that field.
Right.
So Hector. So Ray has really created history. He was the first player to score in an unofficial scrimmage.
Yeah.
So it was, I say an unofficial scrimmage, an unofficial game, but in our first scrimmage ever for the StormFC UPSL team. And let me get past, we've had StormFC teams that have played men's, back when I could run, I guess, but back in Arlington and stuff like that. But this is different. This is being treated like it's a professional team. Although it's professional development, it's not semi-pro or anything like that. None of these players have been paid like we've done before. He scored the first goal. So talk us through that first game and what it felt for you, and did it mean as much to you as it meant to me? It probably means a lot more to me for you scoring than what it did to you. But
well, I mean, scoring as me is always an exciting thing because I'm a defender and I don't get the opportunity to score much. So when I do score, it's yes. But I would talk that first game it was a little rough, since that was our first game playing with each other, and we've had about 1 or 2 practice sessions, and one of those including the tryouts themselves. And starting off, I tried out because in college I got recruited as a right back, but then in college I played center back the whole time. And so coming back to this UPSL team, I wanted to go back to right back because that's what my coach wants me to play next year for my college team. And even though I played there a lot of my whole life, playing center back for those 20 plus games I played in college kind of throws you off a little bit,
right? Because
you're used to playing in the center, not out wide. But playing that first game with everybody, it was a little rough. They were dominating us, but they couldn't score, and we couldn't score. And then I felt when we had the right people in the second, third,
Yeah, we started getting our goals in the second third. It was the Stampede game at Faro Sports Centre. So, yeah, I think it was the second. I mean, the second with 3/3 again, but the second third, we were dominant. We were much better.
We were dominant. We had a bunch of chances. I know Brian missed one from like 20 yards out.
Yeah.
He should have scored that one.
Angel
missed that volley. He should have scored. The goal I scored was assist from Ryan, one of my old players I played with. It was a corner, it came in. No one was really marking me. Jumped up, hit it top corner left side. So.
And that's caught on, I mean, it's on video. We've got it on some of our highlights on Facebook and stuff. So you can always historically look back or go to our YouTube channel and have a look at that. So that was our first game. Move on now to 4 games. I know it's not a lot in the terms of a soccer team, but we just played our third and fourth game this past weekend.
We won
both of them 7-2 Saturday.
Yeah.
So was the team under 13s or were we really that dominant?
I think it was once because the team we were playing, they weren't as currently good shape as where they couldn't move the ball as good as we were. I would say we played house. The first half we played, we struggled a little bit. We just couldn't get our momentum. We were just trying to fill out the team, fill out who we were playing, and it just wasn't really clicking. And then Hector made the subs, and it was really kind of switched the whole starting 10. He put new people in it, just everybody clicked, and we scored goals. It was 3-1.
So the balance was pretty well there. Yeah.
It was 3-1 at halftime in that game. And then the second half, Hector's no, I don't think we even scored in the first half. I don't think so. And Hector was all right, y'all should be mad. This team's not even as good as y'all. So he made his adjustments. And we came out second half and scored Angel had 2, Gama had 2. And Gama didn't even play the whole second half. He played half the half. And
I'm impressed with Gama's play. Yeah. I think his pressing and wanting to win the ball and his speed, his low gravity, of course. Us small people, you have to love that, right? And then the Sunday was a bit tighter game, but I wasn't there for both games. I had youth games this past weekend, the President's Cup. So how did the second game? It was a 3-2, but I heard on the grapevine that it could have been. We should have scored a lot more, and we let in a couple of sloppy goals. One was a penalty we let in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it, the field was kind of like the Paul Quinn game, not as bad. You couldn't really see the lines. There's only 2 referees, and the outcome should have been as it was when we went 7-2. It should have been that bad.
Okay.
But we just couldn't score, and they weren't that good. But
what was it that we couldn't score? Was it
we just kept missing?
It's not good, right?
No.
At this level, of course, if you're going to have those opportunities in front of goal, they've got to be finished. I mean, I told Angel that in the last games. Your one-on-ones, or at least broken, and you penetrate the back line, you have to get the shots on target. So otherwise, it puts a lot of pressure on the back line. So how do we concede the penalty?
I can't even remember. It was
Where won you then?
It was Mikey. I think it's Mikey.
It was Mikey?
Yeah, it was
Ramonde? Mikey Ramonde. So Mikey Ramonde, he was with our 94, 95 boys.
So I was out wide with the guy, and the guy played it down the line, and me and him basically switched, and he slid the guy, and I couldn't tell if he was in the box or not because I couldn't really see the lines. And we had 2 referees, so one's on this side of the field and one's on this side of the field, and he played it the ball was on total opposite of both of the referees, and the farthest one called the PK, and we're and he didn't even hardly speak English, and we're and it was just
And that was in Terrell. They travelled to Terrell to play that game. So I think all in all, though, a positive outcome because the previous 2 games were losses. And again, we're not really counting the wins and losses here. Obviously, positively, you want to win games. I mean, that drives positivity through the team, and you start seeing some balance. You start seeing some, some progression. But it's not necessarily the be and all end all. It's about the style that we're trying to play, getting the balance right, chopping and changing players. You're still trimming the squad somewhat, ready for game day. And right now, as this is being filmed today, we're probably about 12 days from our home opener.
March 30th.
Yeah, something like that. So, not home opener, so our UPSL opener, our home opener is not until April the 13th, however. But March the 30th is the first one against the top team that went to California, Innocente. So, the more game time we can get. I know we've got 2 this weekend, so you're making both games this weekend?
He hasn't sent out the roster. We should get it today, I think.
Okay, I've got an offer for another Sunday morning game, so we might get 2 where we can have 2 full teams playing on the Sunday, one at 10 a.m. and the other one at 1 p.m. So we'll see how that goes along. But it should be beautiful weather this weekend. A lot better. The team that we're playing on Saturday, North Texas Legends, they've been doing really well. They're in the division below us, but I've been watching some of their results, and I mean, they're beating. We play Sharp Keys. We beat Sharp Keys 7-2. They beat them 6-0, I think it was. So it looks on paper like it's going to be a competitive game. So I'm intrigued to see it. I'm actually going to go and watch the Innocents play 7 p.m. on Saturday, so I can get a good idea of what we got to compare against, because I think that's always been one of the biggest problems. Yeah. What do we compare against? What are we're playing these other teams, and they are pre-season scrimmages, but what is there to play against? So Waco's playing, and actually one of our old players, StormFC's old players, his dad coached FC Waco, so he's been giving me all the inside info on Jason and stuff playing. So they're going to play Innocent, so he's going to get a good idea there. Waco, out of interest, played Irving last week, and they lost 2-0 to Irving. Okay. So they felt Irving was much better. Well, not much better, but they were moving the ball better and had better opportunities in front of goal. They would take their opportunity in front of goal, which again brings us back to the point. We scored 7 on a Saturday, but we're not replicating that and be consistent enough on the Sunday. That could become an issue if we're going to get less opportunities in front of goal and penetration, which I would cast back to our first game. When we played our first game, I felt we didn't penetrate the ball enough to get those opportunities. So at least we're seeing that on this past weekend.
I would say that that's one thing, is like judging how like the teams we're gonna play, because we have like, this is the first year in this league, and we have no idea like how these teams play, or like, because it's totally different from like what everybody plays, either college or Sunday league, or we have still some kids in high school, either high school ball or club ball. Like, it's hard to judge because you have no idea what these guys are gonna be like. You don't know if they're gonna be like real good or if they're gonna be like average. It's hard to judge. We don't know what to expect. All we have to know is we have to bring our A game.
Absolutely. To win. How do you feel those boys that are still in high school? How do you feel they're contributing to the team?
They have it. The games they have played with us, the first 2, I would say they've done a pretty decent job for being in high school. I mean, they still have a bunch of learn. Even like me myself, I have a bunch of learn to do. But the high schoolers, I would say like they're doing good. They just need to keep progressing to get to our level and to improve themselves and others. Okay. But they've been doing pretty good.
And really for us, I think is a good step for them to come in. They've got to learn at some point. I mean, you can cast your mind back to some of the top leagues around. I mean, Wayne Rooney, 16 years old, came in. He had to start at some point, right? Now we're talking, of course, at that level. But there's all, you can take everything in relative forms at the level you're playing and still give those boys. Yeah. So that's a little bit about our UPSL. Congratulations, by the way. It's fantastic. We've got these players that used to play for us that are now playing for the club again. Yeah. And it's something that we've been trying to do for a long time for the right league. So we do feel that this right now would be the right league. So let's learn a little bit about Raymond Kennedy and who he is and what he's been, because he's really been a fabric of this club, and his family been for this club for over 10 years, I would say, at this point. So maybe 9-10 years, something like that. So what are some of the memories that you have playing for our youth? And just as he said before, he played for our 0-0 team, which became, on the age change, a 99 team. So what kind of things do you remember as highlights for the 99-0-0 team?
I would say like some of the big highlights of our team was at the beginning, we really weren't that good. And as we progressed into high school, we made it to Division 1 in Classic League.
So where did we start? We actually qualified to get into Classic.
We qualified. So Classic League for boys started U11, and that was the first year we qualified into D3. There's like a bunch of teams, and it's, 20... Top 30 teams make it to Classic League. 20 teams go D1, 10 teams go D3. And we started in D3, and I think my sophomore year is when we finally made it to D1. It took a while, but we finally got up there.
So just to recap on that, going in as a 10-year-old boy, all the kids were 10-year-old. We were always the smallest team on the field. Still is. I don't know what it is about the kids down here and when we put teams together, but we're playing against some of these other teams. They're massive, even as 10-year-old kids. And actually our 2008 girls team, we got them first ever time again for a girls team to qualify in as a U11 in the top 30. Same struggles. He was talking about the struggles about starting from U11 going up through to sophomore event D1. We never dropped out of Classic League.
No.
Now, let's be right about this. Yeah. Just what you said, it was close, right?
Yeah, it was close.
How many times did we really teeter on the edge of being relegated?
I think it was our very first year was the closest one. We got lucky.
So it's not easy. I know, again, I'm going to reply back to our 2008 girls. I think sometimes they've got nothing to see or understand where they're at, but they're a top 30 team, maybe number 30, just like probably we were when we went at U11. But the pathway that we end up taking, persevering, putting in the extra work, doing what we needed to do. We had some new players come along, and again, we don't have the pick of the bunch of the kids down here on players, so it was very difficult to get more players in.
I think what made our team so good is that the core team stayed throughout all 7-8 years. Like there's about 9-10 of us.
Yeah.
Just core of us just stayed. I mean, I kind of left one year, but the core of us stayed, and I think that's what helped build the team. Playing with each other, build that chemistry, and we're knowing, all right, if I take the ball middle, he's covering me and I'm going wide, or whatever. We know each other like reading a book. We know each other what's going to do.
And hopefully that's going to resonate through our UPSL team, because there's still a core group there, really. I mean, we're missing the Justins and the Travises. They're out in East Texas, but I think that resonate that way. So as Ray was saying, I think any team can go through struggles, especially when such a reward for going into a top, being considered a top 30 team. Yeah. And again, you might be number 30, but you've still earned that way in, and you just got to work at it that way. So obviously, one of your moments was getting into the Classic League and moving into the sophomore. Is there anything else into D1 as sophomore? Anything else that comes to mind about playing for that team that...
I think a lot of the others was like winning the tournaments or beating our rivals. Like one year we went to California. That was a nice tournament. We made it to the finals, didn't win it, but I think that was a good learning experience for us.
Actually, that was the first year we had Justin and a couple of others come on board.
Corsicana kids.
Yeah, the Corsicana kids came in. Adair, Carlos, and no, I think they came a little bit later, but definitely Justin came in, I think. So what he's talking about there is the State Games of America. Our 95 boys, so Edgar Trejo, that's on the UPSL team, Mikey Ramonde, I can't think of anybody else on there right now. Anyway, Ezekiel came to practice the other day. He was on that team. We travelled to San Diego for the Nationals, and we brought the OO boys with us. That's what they were known as back then. So that was their first real out-of-state tournament. We've never taken a team that young ever before out of town either. Had a great time. Take a couple of detours into Mexico. Had a couple of border patrols coming on board, and luckily enough for us, I didn't have to move to Mexico.
Yeah.
But that was one of your highlights there. They got to the final, lost. But still tremendous.
More about the memories. Like you may forget everything, but the one thing is memories with the guys. I remember like we went to Subway in this what was it? A buffet restaurant every day. And when I came home, I didn't want Subway for like 3 months because that's all we had to eat. And it was just like I still remember that to this day. Like I'll go eat Subway now, but I still remember that. It's like the memories, like the wins and losses. They might matter like at that point, but in like towards the end, like later, it's all about the memories.
So the team, he actually also, a couple of big tournaments that they went to, they ended up competing in the President's Cup, and I think for the first 4 or 5 years, we either came first or second all the time in our state President's Cup.
Yeah.
Now, of course, at 11 and 12, you can't go national, you can't go to regionals, but we did get to qualify to go to regionals. Yeah. When was that? U14 maybe? 15?
14. But anyways, so that President's Cup, I remember that final being super cold. Like it was windy and cold. I can't remember who we were playing either, Aztecas or Samba. It's always those two teams.
It was Samba.
It was Samba, okay.
Yeah, I think Ramon played for us as well, who's now on my O1 team, yeah.
Matter of fact,
he's the goal scorer. He scored an extra time, right?
Yeah, he did. Why didn't you do that before? But funny thing is that Samba team, I have 2 kids on my college team that played for Samba. So anytime we start arguing, we get into it about Storm and Samba, and they're always, we hate playing Storm, blah, blah, blah. But it's just all for fun. But playing that game, when we won it, we were so hyped because we get to go to regionals, which was in Alabama. And when we went to Alabama, that was a great tournament for us. We were playing real good. I think the funniest story was playing that FC Dallas team from Florida. I remember going up to the
Emerald Coast area.
We were going up to the referee for the coin flip. He's like, all right, FC Dallas from Texas, Florida, and then we both looked at the refs and looked at each other like, no, the other way. The ref was so confused. But I think we dominated like our group stage. The host team from Alabama, we smacked them like 5-0. Mm-hmm. Beat the Florida Emerald Coast team 3-0. That was a dirty game. I remember that for some reason. And I don't remember who else we played. And then I don't remember if there were semis or finals.
There was a semis. We passed that, and then we went to the finals.
And played a team from Laredo called Laredo Heat. I think they have a UPSL team, I think, too.
They possibly do.
And Victor scored in like 30 seconds. Oh, we're like, all right, we got this in the bag. Victor has a 9-on-1-on-1 and misses it, and we're like, dang. And then I think after that, for some reason, everything just started going downhill. I'm not blaming you, Victor, but it just started going downhill. Justin lost the contact. He went out. He was one of our help defenders. And I don't even remember the game, but I just remember they scored 2 goals. And we were crunch time trying to get one in, go to overtime or PKs, and it just didn't fall, and they beat us.
That was a shame.
Yeah.
Justin came off. He had his contact either folded over, or he was having came off. They scored 2 goals. He went back on. They didn't score again.
No.
We just couldn't buy a goal. I mean, we hit the post. Victor was hitting the post. I mean, I think we tried too hard in there maybe, but man, I hate to say it now, of course, but back then it wasn't quite as funny. But that's soccer. That's why we love soccer. It's a game where you've got to take those chances, and we can go back to our UPSL. It's exactly the same thing. You have to take those chances in front of goal and finish them. We don't go. But still, a tremendous opportunity for you guys when you got up there, and I think it put us on the map for sure as a club and as a team. And I think really there's been a couple of teams within the club that have really cemented who we are, and that's the 95 boys and the 00 boys done a tremendous job in that side. So we talked about starting down low, coming up to a D1 team. We then, one of the main considerations why I decided to start City FC with Paul Gallagher and Odyssey was for you boys. So when we brought in City FC and the National Premier League, we first played in the South Central League. So we played against Houston Dynamo, Houston Express, which is all now Rise, they're Rise Soccer Club down there, the Austin teams, and then of course Oklahoma Football Club, OFC, which is now Oklahoma Energy, which they play in the USL. So when we got that opportunity, how did you feel?
To me, it kind of I don't know about the other guys on our team, but it kind of felt so the club was our club team that we played for, and then MPL was kind of our country.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of felt
like. That's a nice way of thinking about it.
Kind of what it felt like a little bit. But it was I wouldn't say it was much different. It just felt like another Storm game because 95% of the players was from our club team. I mean, you had that 1 or 2 Odyssey kids or 1 or 2, I wouldn't say randoms, but
to help fill up the squad.
Because we could pull in other guys from other squads. And I don't really I only remember 2 seasons. I know we played more than 2 seasons, but I only remember really 2. One was the one we lost on that turf field to that Houston team to go to nationals.
Yeah.
We were I remember that game. We should beat them 8-0. It was bad, and then they scored 1 goal at the very end, and we're I remember there was a feeling we were destroying them. It wasn't even fair, and then they score a goal and we lose, and we're I can't tell you. Travis hit the post 3 times. Victor hit the crossbar 3 times.
Seems like a running theme here, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was
not quite over the line.
Our team was known for hitting the post or barely missing.
So on that MPL, I think the one thing that I remember is the opportunity of Go Nationals.
Colorado, that
to me, again, one of the firsts. The team's been known for some first things, but they got for the National Premier League finals, playing against the best teams in the country.
Yeah, we even played the number 1 country the number 1 team in the country for MPL in our pool.
Yep.
New York
and Washington East. Actually, they were in the top 10. Both of them were in the top 10.
I knew New York was number 1. We knew that.
Yeah, New York. So New York back then was also a youth side to the New York City.
Okay.
That was an experience.
Yeah. I remember there was there was 2 experiences really. There was the non-soccer and then the soccer, and they were both. I'd say the non-soccer was a little better for us because it was enjoyable, and the soccer side itself we should did a little better, but I mean our backup goalie played more than our real goalie, so Colton getting 2 red cards.
So
the first game we played, I think we lost that close game. Our goalie got a red card at the end of the game. First, the referee I don't remember what the referee did, but he called him out and the ref gave him a red card. I remember that. So Max had to play goalie the second game, and that's when we played the New York team. The starting backup goalie playing against the number 1 team. Halftime, we were winning 1-0. We were hyped. I remember that. And then they came out and beat us 4-1, and we're dang. So we're we know we can't. I think there was a slight chance of us going to the next round, but
it was diminishing.
We had to win. This team gonna lose. This team gonna lose. This team gonna lose. So we get out and we're playing, and the starting keeper started the 3rd game again. Got a red card before halftime. So down to 10 men, and I think they're beating us 2-1. And Adair goes off and scores 2 goals to win us the game. I mean, even though we didn't make it next round, we were like happy with winning that game as a result, because like we came all this way. We want to at least win one game. Like,
Yeah.
and I even remember Adair got recruited for that game because he was talking to a coach. I saw that.
So some great experiences. So really the growth of the club since you've been here, you've seen enormous changes,
Oh, yeah.
including right now to the UPSL. And I know I've spoken to your dad at length about it. It's changing, it's evolving, and we really are trying to provide as many opportunities and experiences, memories, as he just said, for as many of the kids around here as we possibly can. And I think that would instill a love for the game for their kids when they get to have kids. So I'm gonna cast your mind back. I got a we've had a couple of questions throughout the club. So Ray is somebody that I talk about often, about moving of positions from his U11 right up through. And you just heard him say about in his college he played centre back, whereas I played him at the end of his career with us as a right back. So he's talking about coming back and playing right back as the UPSL, and you can hear that changes there. So talk to us a little bit about the changes you went through as a player starting with us at U11.
So, gosh, I don't even remember. Like, I remember when I was like young, little, like before I even started playing with Storm, I played up top, I think, and then I played with like those like academy teams just before I came to Storm. And I think I played out wide right mid. And then when I started with Anthony, I think I stayed at right mid. I want to say either right mid or into defense, somewhere around there. I don't remember. And then one game, Anthony was like, "Let's put Ray up top since he's real fast," and I played up top.
Super fast.
I think I played up top for like half a season or maybe a full season. And like, I know how to play striker, but there's better people to play striker than me. I only remember scoring one goal up top, and that was in a final. So eventually, like, going up top, and then I slowly go back down to defense. So going to right mid, back to right mid, and then playing right back and having Travis as my right mid. And like, really, like, Anthony was telling me earlier today that a bunch of parents are saying like, "Oh, my kid plays this, my kid plays this, my kid plays this." True, yes, a kid should be able to play like one position and be good at it, but he should be adaptable and do what's best for the team and best for his playing time. That's what I think.
That's a good point there. I think I'll add on to that. Ray did. He played wing, striker, and really, as he was developing as a person, as his body was changing throughout his years. I mean, he came to us 8, 9 years old, 10-year-old, of course, as a competitive player. Your body's not the same, and you go through changes. You know, your mindset looks different, the way you play is different, the way you see the game's different, what type of skills you have as a person is different. That really dictates where and when you're going to be and where you be as a player. I think for a coach, it's very difficult to turn around and say, well, I need to, you know, parents will come in and say, well, I want my boy to play here, or girl to play here, and here. But that means you're taking two sessions a week, and you're trying to train one player into 9 different positions. How many training sessions do you need to make sure that they know that very well? I think there's a time and a place that if you're playing in the best position, all coaches see things differently, and all players, and of course, asking a player or seeing where they naturally drop back or go high or go wide is also a good indication. Right. I think that's also a lot for players and parents to be able to see. But for me, one player doesn't stay in the position. I mean, we got right now Victor, striker for years for us.
No,
he's now left winger. You know, so things change, and the way you play and you're adaptable, and the way you've developed as an individual, that's going to change what you are perceived to be as a player. Maybe the system. And what we mean by system is, of course, the shape, a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2, or we play a 3-4-1-2, whatever the case may be. That requires certain types of player within those positions. So Ray, firsthand there, striker, winger. He's actually played a bit of centre midfield, which he didn't mention either, but he has played a little bit of centre midfield. But for me, he became a right back. He was a right back, and now at college he's a centre back. And he just heard him say, coach wants him to go to a right back. So you're not going to be stuck in a position, but if you've got to take the longer picture, the bigger picture, the long-term development there. So good stuff. So what else? Got anything else to say to us? Like Joel had, trapeze artist, or anything else?
I would say, I'm gonna kind of say something about my parents, since one of them's kind of in the room right now. My dad and my mom didn't grow up playing soccer at all. They just kind of threw me in when I was 3, basketball, baseball, soccer, and flag football. They just threw me in there to see what I liked best. And it just kind of narrowed into soccer. Right.
So it's important to play all types of sports to develop, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we do here at the club as well. We allow a lot of players to play other sports.
I don't know, a bunch of people know, but I played football till my senior year in high school. I mean,
I was good at it.
I was the kicker.
Well, before that you weren't.
Yeah, I was a GP.
Yeah, and then before that, you've done everything as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think you threw to yourself a couple of times. But anyway, he's an athlete, right? Sometimes you can just tell that athlete. So, Ray, we really appreciate you coming in. Thank you for your time. Just a recap on some of the things that have been going on with the youth side. You know, I do feel we're bringing these players in and these past players and alumni coming in. But we've got a lot of youth out there, and that's what we're renowned for. We're a youth organisation, and so just to recap a couple of things. There wasn't many games going on this past weekend, but there was the President's Cup, which we had talked about a little bit earlier in the podcast
I saw
here.
the boys.
You seen the boys out there?
I didn't see them make it up. They lost to OU.
Yeah, oh, it's unfortunate. Yeah, you know, one of our players, actually a couple of our players used to play for OU last year. They're here. Yeah, Josh and TJ. TJ scored a nice goal. Actually, TJ, I think, had one of the best tournaments and games I've ever seen him play. He was absolutely great this past weekend. So great job to TJ out there. Josh, of course, you're going to elevate your game when you're playing against your old team. And, you know, his dad used to be the assistant coach over there at that team. So he pulled out some great saves. Josh has really become a great goalkeeper.
I
know he's playing at Waxahachie High with Seth Riley right now. He's doing a tremendous job down there. So they did, I mean, with spring break, with high school ball, SATs on Saturday. We were missing Jordan and a couple other boys with SATs on Saturday. It's always a struggle at this time of the year with the President's Cup and even with the numbers you've got. But we got the win on the Thursday when it was howling an absolute hoolie out there. It was blowing a hoolie. We got the win up there. It was against Fever. I think they're called Fever now. They used to be called something else. We won on the Saturday morning, but you know we were doing quite well against the OU. We went 1-0 down early. We kind of made some adjustments, put the two players that we felt were dangerous, put them a little bit quieter. We got a nice goal back. Garrett, who's one of our homegrown players, academy players that's playing on the UPSL, man, he rattled the crossbar, rattled it. And one thing I like about Garrett that's come along, and he can say this if he ever comes in and talks, is he used to be a player that would always come back. He'd always go forward, hit a defender, and then cut back. And it's taken me a couple of years since he joined us as well. Go at him, get beat in behind. The amount of penalties he's won, the amount of time he's created space to be able to take a shot, he's really increased. And he came over as a left back. So that's another story right there. A left back that's gone on to a left midfielder, and he's really doing a phenomenal job there. Rattled the crossbar. We had injuries, and we were missing Alberto, we were missing Emmanuel, we were missing Nate, we were missing some key players in that game. Tiredness set in, and then of course they got the goal. We had to push to get the extra goals. As a tournament, we had to win, and they caught us last couple of minutes. They caught us a couple of goals, so they in fact went on and won it. And good luck to them in the representing North Texas going into the regionals. The 03 girls also played again. I think we played on Thursday with 10. We finished with 9. It's just a crazy. I mean, 18 or so on that roster. It's just a crazy time of the year with vacations, spring break vacations, and stuff like that. But we won our first game. Second game, we tied our first game. We went 1-0 up, went down to 9 players, and FC Dallas ended up tying it up right at the very end. Should never have done it. We should have been clear in the races right from the start. By half time, we should have been cleared there. But the second game we played, Invictus, beat them, and then we hit our what seems to be like a nemesis team right now, the FC Dallas White team. You know, our players aren't quite so keen on the coaching staff and the other team. He gets in their head quite a bit. 2 minutes from the end, scored a cracking goal. I think the other coach became unglued. It put us through. We ended up hitting an old friend of mine, Adam Wellesley, in the semi-final with Solar. Again, we went 1-0 down, came 1-1. In the second half, we tied it 1-1. We could have got another goal. They ended up doing a set-piece corner. They did the step over. Remember we used to do this? Yeah. Corner, run over it. Freaking balls loose, bang, goal. So we're 2-1 down. It was all last 10 minutes. We literally, I think Adam came out of that sighing, goodness me, at least it's over. Now we're a D3 Lake Highlands team. That's a D2 Lake Highlands team. Wow. Solar, considered a bigger club than us. So another tremendous result with no Allison in centre midfield. I mean, we no Morgan. She was on vacation. I mean, again, it was a number of injuries or people away. So great job to those teams that went to the President's Cup. We do have at the end of spring break, which is this weekend. At the time of the filming, this weekend is the end of spring break, which will be the 16th and 17th. We've got some more games coming up. Our 03 girls will be starting the Lake Highlands spring season. it's been ridiculous at that league this year with all the rain in the fall and everything else. We haven't played but 5-6 games. The 08 girls, less. I mean, we're even doubling up. We're playing one game that now counts as 2.
Really?
So, yeah, it's getting ridiculous. Any more rainouts, and I'm sure we're not going to get gains there. They're in a good position. They're in second place right now. They're beating obviously the FC Dallas White team, which is considered the number 1 team, which we've beaten twice. So I don't know what that means for us. If we can stay healthy and start off this weekend 2 games, but we're going to end up with 9 points coming out of it if we can win both games.
Right.
That's going to set us up really well. And again, I think the FC Dallas team's got to play Americas, which is another one of our close teams that we can compete against. That's a 6-pointer. That's rough. So whoever wins that game, the other team's only got 0 or 6, and if they tie, it's only 2. So to double up like that is going to give us some good points. And then the academy's starting to play again. Our SCDL, the Southern Club Development League that we run in-house here in Waxahachie and Cedar Hill, we're delaying that by 1 week just because the spring break got a lot of players out of town. So that's going to be delayed a little bit. But after this week, we should be ramping up, with the exception of the 08 girls, which we're looking for games for them. They don't play till the 27th of April, which is a crazy amount of time off from not playing soccer.
Yeah, it is.
We've got a full slate coming up. So from here, probably until June, it's going to be go, go, go. Got a couple of showcases coming up for the older teams. So we'll try and keep you up to date more and more now with some of our youth teams, try and get a couple of those coaches in. Let's see how it's going along with them. We're also going to be doing more videos on coaching education, educating of the parents, helping them understand the game a little bit more, getting more behind the scenes with the UPSL team, getting more videos out. If you haven't seen our documentary, the 3rd episode has been released. Go look at it. I think actually the 3rd episode is probably one of the better ones that we've done. It's a little shorter, but I think the information, the different cameras and stuff, we've got a lot of good stuff coming out of it. I hope you're following it. Go and ask and get your friends to go and like our YouTube channel. I'm going to put the links below from the Facebook and the YouTube to go and like all of our social media. We're going to try and stay in front of everybody with as much communication and as much behind the scenes and as much stories, and really just trying to get out to people what we're trying to do in the club. We've got some major events coming up with our Banquet of Champions as well in May. Major deal for us there. I think we're going to really hit around 700 people coming to that, which is amazing.
I remember it used to be like barely 200.
Well, we're going to, saying that, again, Ray came to us some of the first ones. Our first ones in the banquet were a swimming pool, which again, not a great idea. Crystal glass trophy, swimming, tile, never good. That wasn't really a good point there. But now move on to where we're at. It's night and day, and it really is we're proud of it as a club, and I think, well, you've been to them. What do you think of it?
I think I think they're a little too big, if we're being completely honest. Like, I feel like you should split it up, like either boys and girls or youth and competitive, but that's just my opinion.
That's good points right there to take on board. So we'll talk about that and see what we've got coming up. But anyway, thank you again for watching this. Thank you to Ray. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, StormFCTV. Go to Storm Football under the YouTube, and I'll put links down again below. Make sure you like our Facebook page. We have a lot of content coming out on a daily basis. And again, if you've got any questions, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? Who would you like to hear from next? What kind of subjects do you want to hear from? Put those comments down below. We want to hear from you. We want to get those ideas so we can keep our podcast going and they get listened to. So again, from Ray and I, peace out.